right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I'm here with Rob. How's it going, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad. Rob, the director of Drop the Needle, may I add. Can you explain to people what Drop the Needle is?
Drop the Needle is a documentary on a record store in Toronto called Play the Record. And it's more than just about the store, it's about the owner and about how the store became a hub for a community of artists, independent artists, especially in the 1990s in the Toronto area, and the importance of that store to their careers. And as vinyl kind of went through transformations and the digital era came in and people were downloading stuff and vinyl wasn't as important anymore, and
Hmm.
DJs were using things like Serato and weren't spinning vinyl as much. It became less of a hub. And so, what did that look like? What did that mean? And kind of the rise and fall in a way, a little bit of a as a store as a hub to community. So, it was we had sold out screenings across Canada. We got picked up by Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime in Canada.
Hmm.
And now we just recently put it on DVD and Blu-ray. So
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of what we've been doing for the last couple of years.
And if a person wants to buy the DVD or Blu-ray, where would they go?
www.playtherecord. It's in a couple stores in Canada. So
Hmm.
it's in Hamilton, Halifax, Ottawa, and Toronto, obviously. But if you're outside those areas, you want it delivered, it's www.playtherecord.com.
Hmm.
Order it and have it delivered. And yeah, check it out.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. All right. All right, Rob, but let's hit the rewind button for a second. Growing up, was there a record player in the house?
There was a record player for a short little while, but I'll be honest with you, for a long duration of time, there wasn't. So I was collecting cassettes.
Hmm.
I switched over the CDs,
Hmm.
and then I moved. I grew up in a town called Kingston. There's about 120,000 people
Hmm.
outside of Toronto. But I moved from Kingston to Toronto, and when I made that move, unfortunately, my CD collection got kind of lost
Hmm.
in the move. And being in a young in a big city, didn't have the money to really rebuild it, nor gonna get into any type of different mediums like vinyl. So it was and also, I hate to say it, but with Napster and
Hmm.
things of that nature, I mean, I regret it to a certain degree, but I'm not gonna lie, I did take advantage of those things. So it wasn't until about 2016, I guess it was, that I actually went out and sort of got the urge to recollect a library, a collection,
Hmm.
and figured vinyl was the way to do it. So I bought a record player and kind of went from there. So there was
Sure.
a long duration of time, though, that there was no record player.
Okay, okay. And in 2016, when you bought your first vinyl record, what was the first vinyl record that you bought?
Well, I'll tell you what, I will answer that, but it's one of the five.
Ah, okay.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So you have to remind me when we get there.
Yeah.
So other than Play the Needle, is there a record store that you can say is one of your favorites?
Well, there's a bunch. There's that one, but I mean, if I was going to Halifax, there's one called Taz Records. There's Beat Street in Vancouver, Recordland in Calgary. So I really like the record stores that kind of have that. They're not polished, if that's
Mm.
a good word to say. I mean, not saying these places are filthy places or anything like that, but I like places where the records are kind of loose and crates are on the ground. And when you think about like an HMV or back in the day or anything like that, it was very clean and modern.
Mm.
I kind of like it a little bit. You got to dig and all this kind of stuff. I like that vibe. Not to say that I'm the best digger in the world for vinyl, but at
Yeah,
least I like that kind of vibe when you walk into a record store. So anything that
understood.
has that is something that I like.
Okay, okay. On any trip to the record store, can you remember the most amount of vinyl that you walked out with at one time?
Well, I'm relatively new, and I'll be honest with you. The recent I started getting into it when prices seem to really start to escalate.
Mm. Mm.
Again, when I was young, you buy an album. This was CD, mind you, but when I was
Mm.
buying an album, it was $12 to maybe $20,
Mm.
right? But now when you're buying a record, you're looking at it. When I started, it was about $30 to $40, and now it's about $50 to $60.
Yeah.
So, I'm being a little more selective. So the long answer to your question is that maybe two.
Mm.
That's how many I had, but
Okay.
that's just because I kind of came in at the worst time when it comes to
Right.
costs.
And I can gauge the answer, but have you ever bought the same vinyl record twice for any reason?
Well, I did buy one twice that I already
Hmm.
had, although again, that's on my list actually. But there is
Hmm.
one that I have two copies of.
Hmm.
I didn't buy it the first time, but I did get it. But
Okay.
I'll explain that in a couple seconds. So I have a couple of copies.
Hmm.
There's also a Mob Deep album that I got where I like the covers. Like if I'm going to
Hmm.
get this, I want the cover, right? And there
Hmm.
was one without the cover on it. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
there was the first Mob Deep, well, the Mob Deep album, no cover. I wanted the cover, so I went out and bought the version with the actual cover and the artwork
Hmm.
on it.
Hmm.
So that was one I had two of, just because for some reason I can't remember the circumstances, but I got one that had a black
Hmm.
casing, those kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen any of your top five perform live?
No, I
Okay.
thought okay. We were talking about this beforehand. The album that almost got into the top five
Hmm.
was The Roots,
Yep.
and I have seen Questlove live.
Hmm. Hmm.
He didn't that didn't make it to the top five. So the answer to the question is no.
Okay. Okay. That's cool though. That's something to brag about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rob, with that being said, it's a top five vinyl. Can you share the number five album that you have in front of you right now?
Sure thing. Well, like I said, The Roots was close, but didn't make it. So the first album is going to be Belle Biv DeVoe,
Hmm.
Poison.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I picked or showing you this one is because you can kind of see with I don't know if you guys could tell. There's a sticker there. It's a beat up cover because I found this digging. Now, one of the things I learned while making the documentary was the power of the art form of digging through crates
Hmm.
to find gems basically.
Hmm.
So all the popular records might be on the top, but
Hmm.
if you really want the great stuff that maybe when someone sold a collection to the store
Hmm.
and they don't they're when they're putting it in, they're going to put them into the crates basically. So you got to really dig through the crates to find great stuff. I love this album.
Hmm.
This album, Poison's obviously the main song, but there's
Hmm.
so many great songs in this album. And so I'm not an expert on digging.
Hmm.
I'm not going to claim that I am. But the one time that I did do some digging and found this, I was really happy. And I really felt like, man, I'm a true vinyl person now. Because not only was I digging and found, I dug and I found something that I have not seen anywhere else. I don't know if it's hard to find or not, but it seems like it's hard to find.
Hmm.
So this was an album that I loved, but also was something that I, actually had to dig
Right.
to find.
Right.
So
Can you look on the back of that? Is that 91, 92 year was that album?
it's either 90 or 91
Yeah.
because they had Above the Rim was 93.
Okay.
Um, and which a lot of people don't like that album. They had a follow-up album. It's called Above the Rim.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people didn't love that album. I actually like that album a lot too.
Hmm. Hmm.
But this one, yeah, 1990.
1990. Okay, I was off.
1990.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So that's your number five.
That's number five.
Go ahead and take a look at your number four.
Now, my collection of vinyl is about 90% rap and R&B.
Mm.
But I do have a few movie soundtrack albums. There's one album that I'm going to show you. That's the only non-rap and R&B one that I have.
Ah,
Yeah, right.
that's
Charlie Brown
hilarious.
Christmas. Now, when you put the Christmas time every single year, this is the one vinyl that absolutely gets played. I have maybe about 150, 200 pieces of vinyl, not like a massive collection, right? So I'm
Mhm.
assuming people have more. There's no way like does people listen to all their vinyls? Like how frequently do people hear the vinyl that they have, right?
Mhm.
But I can
Mhm.
tell you that this piece of vinyl, I
Mhm.
guarantee that I listen to about 3 or 4 or 5 times every single year. It might
Mhm.
only be at Christmas, but it does happen every single year that I listen to this album. And obviously, it connects with your childhood too, watching the old cartoons
Mhm.
and hearing the songs. So just during Christmas time, putting this on and hearing it, it makes you, warms the heart type of thing, right? If I
Mhm.
get a little
Mhm.
cheesy. So that's why, an album like this, it means something, even though it's got, Charlie Brown cartoons on it. It,
Mhm.
it does mean something to me, especially during the Christmas time period.
That's awesome. And the reason
Yeah.
I laughed when you showed that is that was one of the albums my wife hanging on the wall. That is one of the albums that is the inspiration for this channel.
Really?
I'll explain that to you when we're done. Yes,
All
sir.
right, nice.
All right.
So
So
there you
that's
go.
your
So I'm not crazy. It was either this or the Roots, and I was,
nah, man. Nah, you got it with that one. Okay.
there you go, eh?
Yeah, that's your number four. Let's go ahead and take a look at your number three.
Okay, number three. So when I when I was growing up, the first, I listened to rap music mostly, and big into hip hop culture. So the very first rap group or artist that I listened to was actually a Digital Underground.
Mm.
They had an album called Sex Packets,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it was a very raunchy album.
Mm-hmm.
And as a like 13-year-old kid, I found the raunchiness probably pretty funny, right?
Right, right.
So that was kind of like the introduction that I had into the genre. But I would say that the actual group and album that I felt like legitimate love for was this one here, Black Sheep,
Mm.
A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
Mm.
This was definitely my favorite album for a long time. I don't know if it's still my favorite album. I mean, there's a little bit of filler on it now that I look back in the rearview mirror. But at the time this came out,
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved this album. I love The Choice Is Yours. It also had some raunchy, I don't know, I guess as a kid, I liked the raunchy stuff a little bit because
Yeah.
there's some raunchy skits on this album.
Right, right.
So I probably got some laughs out of that. But this
Mm-hmm.
album right here was definitely my favorite just album of all time. So when I went into the vinyl recently, in the last 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it was, this was certainly on the top of the list to get into the collection because of the meaning it had when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's awesome. Okay. Like that.
Yeah,
All right. So that's your number three.
number
Let's go
three.
ahead and take a look at your number two.
So again, back to the whole childhood thing. When I was growing, this one I hate. I didn't want to. I wanted to use this one because I wanted to be true to your list here because this seems a little cliche to put on the list. But it is, my top two album. Because when I was growing up, I was a really big Michael Jackson fan.
Mm, mm.
To the point where I remember one Halloween, I got dressed,
Uh,
I had the glove, the
yeah.
hat,
Uh,
I went for the whole look. To the point that my daughter, I'm really happy too, because my daughter is now super into Michael Jackson. And about
mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years ago, she went out as Michael
Mm,
Jackson for
mm,
Halloween. So it's kind of a cool little full circle moment. Um, but when I was growing up, there was someone who owned this album and they gave it to me.
mm,
And so I had it. So the little duration of time that I did have a record player, I was able to play this album. But then the record player obviously got lost. I didn't have, wasn't doing vinyl anymore, but the record still stood around. And I still have it to this day. And
mm,
the problem is that record is beat up quite a bit,
mm,
scratches, it doesn't play at all, just continue, constantly skipping
mm,
around.
mm.
So I did have to go out and purchase a new version
Right.
of it, right? But to me, this is kind of before, first album, first thing that I really loved as a fan, still do to this day. And on a side note, I know that a lot of people, some people prefer Off the Wall to Thriller. You would prefer Off the Wall? Off the Wall is amazing. And I would never say anything bad to anyone who says Off the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
I do, for me though, it's Human Nature and Billie
Mm,
Jean are my favorite two Michael Jackson songs,
mm,
and they both come off the same album. So
mm.
this is kind of why for me, I prefer Thriller over Off the Wall, but like, I'm not gonna Off
Right.
the Wall is also quite amazing as
I
well.
respect it. You can't argue good albums. I got it. I got it.
Yeah, and I was also on a little quick note too, because I was thinking about this the other day. Not to say that it's on the same tier as those two albums, but his Dangerous album, I think,
Mm,
is a really underrated album. It's really a lot of new jack swing to it, which I
mm,
personally love. Kind of fits in
mm.
with the Belle Biv DeVoe. So even though Dangerous, which is his what is that, one, two, three, fourth solo album, it's not like the quite as good as those two, Off the Wall and Thriller, but I love that album as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's number two.
Yep. And let me ask you a quick two questions if I can remember the second one. Have you shown us yet the first album that you ever bought?
No.
Okay. And have you shown us the album that you have seen perform live? Oh, you didn't. I'm sorry. You
No,
will.
no, Questlove was the
Yes.
that just missed the cut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Questlove, the Roots, Philadelphia Half-Life.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
It's
Rob.
tough. It's tough too because like you look at it, like when if I had to pick between Black Sheep and Illadelph Half-Life in terms of what I think the better album is,
Mm,
I would probably say Illadelph Half-Life, right?
mm,
If I had like Mob Deep, I think it's both their albums maybe better than Black Sheep. But
mm.
Black Sheep, I'm not saying that I think the Black Sheep's the better album. To me, though, it has that emotional connection.
Right.
Just because when you're growing up listening to music and whatnot, where you are. Another album I was thinking of before we get to number one was De La Soul.
Mm,
Stakes is High.
mm,
I bought that in on a trip to Halifax, the CD where when it came out. And so now every time I listen to that album, I almost have this like memory or this like sort of vibe or feeling of just, being in Halifax and kind of what it's like, Halifax is by the ocean. So you got that ocean air, a little bit of a vibe there. So every time I listen to this De La Soul, I kind of like almost could feel that, right?
Hmm.
So to me, it's not so much what the best album is, because if it was the best album, it'd probably look a lot different. But
Right.
it's the albums that, you know, there's a little bit more extra of the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
So Thriller and Black Sheep and and then now the number one for sure will have a little something to it too.
All right, cool. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, for the number one, what do we have for the grand finale, sir?
All right, Tribe Called Quest,
Mm, mm,
Midnight Marauders.
mm-hmm,
So here's the story with this one. When I was okay, so I was collecting cassettes, right? I used to play high school basketball, and we had a tournament. I was lived in Kingston. There was a tournament in Ottawa. Ottawa is about an hour and a half away from Kingston, and it was overnight. So we were driving up to Ottawa, and my parents gave me money for like lunches and dinners and all this kind of stuff, right? Now, me being a little bit of an idiot, to be quite honest with you, I took that money, and the very first thing I said to myself was, "Forget food. I'll be okay.
mm-hmm,
Let's go buy an album. Let's go to the store. When we go to the mall or whatever, I'm going to buy something, right?"
mm-hmm,
So sure enough, we went to the mall. I saw the Midnight Marauders on a CD. So that was the very first CD that I ever bought
mm-hmm,
was Tribe Called Quest Midnight Marauders when I was going from cassette to CD. And it was
mm-hmm.
during this trip. And I was starving the entire because I spent all my money on
Right,
this Midnight Marauders CD. I had no food. And here we were playing basketball. You kind of need fuel
right, right.
to play basketball. And the coaches took pity on me, even though they knew I was dumb. They took pity on me and helped me out. But anyhow, it was a little bit of a bad situation. But at the end of the day, I got this amazing album on CD. So what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm,
Flash forward now to recent times when I was making the switch over to vinyl, or at least starting the vinyl collection. I said, it was already I knew that the very first vinyl I had to get was just like the first CD that I
mm-hmm,
got,
mm-hmm,
which was Tribe Called Quest Midnight Marauder. So not
mm-hmm,
only do I love this album, it's one of my favorite albums of all time, there's that significance of being the very first CD that I ever bought, and then making sure that was the very first vinyl record that I
mm-hmm,
got.
mm-hmm.
So
That's awesome.
there it
That's
is.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I think we lost too, unfortunately. So we lost the tournament, but I got the Tribe Called Quest album.
Sounds
So
like you won. I don't know. It kind of sounds like you won to me.
exactly. You win in the long run.
Right. Well, Rob, I want to thank you so much for your time. Can you let the people know one more time where they can find you, where they can find your DVD and your Blu-ray?
Drop the Needle right there. It's available in different stores in Canada, especially at Play the Record in Toronto. But if you don't live in Toronto, www.playtorecord.com. Learn a little bit about this guy right here, Eugene Tam. It's got Cardinal, it's got Maestro Fresh West, Russell Peters, Scratch Bastard. Lots of big Canadian names in the movie. So www.playtorecord.com.
Cool. All right,
Yeah,
Rob, we'll talk soon, man. Have a good one.
you do. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.